Today's guest is Siasoi Aiono. Siasoi is a big man inside and out. He played professional football in the NFL, is a father of a 10-year-old son just at the age of 28, and is building his own financial business as well as his own sports performance football camp called AHMPT UP, where he teaches young men to become 1% better every day. Siasoi has a lot of experience and wisdom for his age, and he shows how his upbringing with his family and sports sharpened his character to make him the man he is today. His story is full of challenge and wisdom, and we hope you enjoy this episode. Okay, what's up, guys, and welcome back to the Good Demand podcast. Today on the podcast, I have Siasoi Aiono, man. How you doing?
Doing great, brother.
Did I pronounce that right?
Perfect.
Oh,
hit it right on
sweet.
the dot.
Thank God. I was like, I was kind of nervous. So, Siasoi, I trained you, actually, at Fit Body Boot Camp. And you came in, man. You lost a good amount of weight. And The one thing I did notice most about you was just like your positive attitude, man, as well as like your effort. Like you really came in. Some days you're fucking tired and late, but you're like, hey, fuck, I'm here. Let's go.
Right.
And you kind of don't find that a lot. You know, some people will either just like skip out if they're any bit late, or they're just like, hey, I'm tired. I'm not going to do it. But you were pretty consistent in just like showing up and like putting in that work. That really stuck out to me. And then when I started to follow you on Instagram, I was like, oh, damn, this guy's actually like going out there, like doing his own business things and like really like helping his community. So I was like, man, I want to have this guy on. Like he seems like he has some gems to share.
I appreciate that, brother.
Yeah,
it's an honor to be here. So I don't always get asked. So when I do, I kind of take advantage of it. So I appreciate you.
Yeah, man. So quickly, I kind of want to like touch upon your story a little bit. When did you first start to get self-development minded, like looking to like want to better yourself? I know you play sports. Did it start with sports and football, saying like, hey, like I want to get better at being a whole person all around, not just sports? Or when did that start?
Yeah. So I guess to kind of get to that point, I kind of have to backtrack a little bit. So growing up, I was always around, a lot of family members. Grew up in a big house, not house, but big family. And, as far as getting better and wanting to get better, that was always something that was instilled in us as a kid. I think that's something that now that I'm a father, that's something that you just kind of do consciously. But for me personally, where I was thinking about consciously getting better for myself, I think that didn't come until probably like my mid-20s.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I went through, I knew obviously through sports that you got to grind and get better and things like that. But I just felt like that was part of the journey of where I wanted to go, because I wanted to play sports. Yeah. So I kind of used that to get me to places. But as far as having a conscious idea of, hey, Siasoi, we got to get better every single day. Yeah. It was, probably 24, 25 years old.
And what was going on during that time?
During that time, really good question, because I laugh at it now because it sounds, kind of pathetic. But I've never been cut from a football team before. So, using sports to kind of get me to places such as college, such as, being able to get my school paid for. And I was blessed to be able to have that opportunity. Knowing that sports was my door to these things, I kind of figured, all right, the next step, I got my school paid for. It's time to go to the NFL. Yeah. And, like I said, I've never been cut. Went to high school, never been cut. Went through college, never been cut. And then all of a sudden, I'm knocking on this door of going into the NFL, and then boom, I'm getting sent home.
Whoa! So you got sent home from the NFL?
Yeah.
Whoa! So what team?
So I was with the Chiefs.
Okay.
And
damn.
Yeah. So, you've seen what the Chiefs have done and what they're about to do, but I was blessed to have an opportunity with them, and but like I said, man, that flight home kind of just. It was something at that moment in my life. Now that I look back at it, it was just the beginning of who I'm going to be. And little did I know that being cut from a football team at that time in my life would be the best thing that's ever happened to me. So, but on my way home, man, it was heartbreaking. At least I thought at that time. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you have that mentality, because sometimes that could be a traumatic experience where someone could just be like, hey, my life is over now. Right. But this is why I wanted to have you on the podcast, because you need to have a certain type of mentality to turn a negative into a positive. Right. Right. So what did happen actually?
Yeah. So, there's a lot that goes into trying to make it as far as in the NFL team. But once I ended up getting released and coming back home, I kind of went through this grieving process, I guess, if you want to call it. And then, I woke up one day and I was like, man, I felt like I hit rock bottom. Oof. And I felt like God was laughing, like, come on, dude, rock bottom. Like, but at that moment, I felt like I was at the bottom. And, I woke up and I'm looking at my son. For those that don't know, I have a son. Yeah. And I was like, man, I got to do something different to get my butt up and be an example to him, because that was something that I had realized one day when I woke up. I'm like, man, if I continue on this path, what kind of example am I going to set for my son? Yeah. And now at that age, they soak it all up. So I didn't want him to soak in what I was doing for like that year and a half that I was in a dump. So I woke up one day, I'm like, man, I got to do something to get me going. And the only thing that I knew was sports. So what did I do? I got right back into sports. Yeah. But just a different angle of sports. Started coaching. Yeah. And then boom, everything started progressing after that, because I had something forward, or I had something to look towards as I woke up every morning. So
Oh, so you had your son in high school, right?
Yeah. So 17, turning 18.
Shit, then, how was that?
It was everything you thought it would be, having a kid that age. Yeah. And it's the biggest blessing that I've ever had in my life. That's awesome. We're growing up together still. He just turned 10, and I'm 28. So, we live life to the fullest every single day, and we grow, and we have this saying together, iron sharpens iron.
I love that,
he's starting to understand that, and, everything in life now, he's starting to ask me, like, hey, are you getting better at this? Are you, doing this in business? And I'm looking at him, I'm like, man.
That's awesome.
So it's been good. It's been good for him. So
yeah. So having a kid, like a lot of my viewers don't have kids. They're kind of like young guys, don't really have kids.
Right.
Like having kids, man, like I'm sure like this is a whole other podcast on its own, but like having kids and like going on this journey, like how does that even, I can't even imagine how that feels. Cause now like every day you like, sometimes some guys may like, hey, I got to go work out, or I got to do this. But now they don't have a kid, right? So like sometimes you feel like, hey, I'm doing it for not only me at this point, I'm doing it for my kin, my family. Right. So like, could you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, that's a good point too. In my specific situation, and I'm just speaking for myself. Yeah. But for me, I can honestly say that my son is not my motivation to move forward. Okay. And a lot of people have kids out there, and I've been around where people say, I do this for my kids, I do this, but at the end of the day, you got to do it for yourself first before you do it for your kids, because if you can't take care of yourself, then what example or how can you take care of other people? And that's the same concept even for your kids. Because even for my experience, as much as I want to say that's my goal, but that's my everything, I'm going to push for that person, I still got to be able to do it for myself first before I do it for him. So because with all honest truth, and I mean this with all respect, I don't want people to be like, oh my gosh, he doesn't care. But what I mean is that if I pass away right now, I know my son's going to be taken care of. I know he's going to have a loving family around him. Obviously, he's not going to have a dad, but I just know that there's going to be a village around him to take care of him. That's beautiful. So with that being said, I can't honestly look at myself and say I'm going to do this for my son. Right. I'm going to do this for myself, and as a byproduct, my son will see and reap the benefits of all of that. So wow, yeah,
dude, that's so powerful.
Damn, appreciate that.
Do you like? I want to talk a little about goals and whatnot. When you set goals, right? Like, how much do you take in consideration of like having like your family, your son? Right. How does that affect your goal setting and like where you're, moving your ship, right? In the future? Yeah.
So, and that's a really good question, because I come from a background where family is everything. Yeah. So the way I looked at it, because I battled with that in my head for a long time, just because culturally, family is the forefront and like the centerpiece of everything. Yeah. But there are some flaws within that if you want to go and do something for yourself. Because
it contradicts a little bit.
Yes, it contradicts a little. So when I found that out and realized it, I knew that through this journey, I'm going to have to go against the grain a little bit. Yeah. And even though, for example, my grandparents immigrated here. And that
from where?
From Samoa. So a small little island, South Pacific. Okay. If you blink, you'll pass it. You can't even, So
wow, that's crazy. Yeah.
So my grandparents, immigrated here, and I felt like that in itself was a journey for us, and we reaped the benefits. They didn't say, "Oh, I'm going to go and do it for my future family." They did it for them right there and then.
Yeah.
And then the future family, reaped the benefits of them doing that as far as taking that journey for themselves. So I kind of use that as an example for myself. It's like, okay, my grandparents got us here. My mom raised us and got us to this level. Yeah. And I know my mom has gone against the grain a couple times too, just growing up and seeing things. But down the line, as things, play out, you realize that, okay, now I know that because X, Y, Z had happened, we have reaped this benefit. Now we've actually leveled up as a family. So with that being said, I've done things that, not everybody agreed with, but with the intention and heart to know that, all right, I don't want it to be because I'm scared to go against the grain, that this is it for our family. Like, we stop growing. Right. So just like anything, lifting weights, getting to another level of health, you're going to have to go through some things that are going to question, like, why am I doing this? Yeah. And as long as you push through, you'll start to see. Because if you don't, you'll never know the answer. But if you push through, you're going to find the answer. And more times than not, you'll see that, oh my gosh, I'm glad that I pushed through. Yeah. Because now, even though people didn't agree with me before, now they're seeing, okay, COC pushed through. This was something that was serious to him. Yeah. And now they come back. And what I like to tell people a lot is that when people try to contradict what you're doing and say, hey, man, you shouldn't be doing that, or hey, why don't you pull back a little bit? You're working too hard. I think that it comes from a standpoint of them caring for you. They love you because they, from their personal experiences, they're just like, hey, COC, maybe you shouldn't do that. But it's okay. I understand that comes from a standpoint of good intentions for myself, so I don't take that personally. That's good. That's good. You're looking past their exactly. Yeah, good. But at the same time, I know that it's my journey at the same time, and not everybody will understand that. But as I continue to push through and continue to follow through with the things that I was saying I was going to do, then people will start seeing that, oh my gosh, this was the right thing to do. And even though I wasn't, kind of seeing and agreeing at the same time when it first started. So
nice. Is your father in your life?
Yes. Yeah. And that's a touchy subject. Not a touchy subject. It's a interesting subject because we have a relationship, but as far as being there every day in my life, no. But he's a big influence in my life, as far as sports. I didn't know that he was, this big, like he if he was there every single day of my life growing up as a kid. And like I said, I say this with really good relationships with him now, but I would be like, man, that's the guy I look up to sports wise. I want to get to. And I didn't realize that he was such a good football player growing up. So really, yeah. And then I found that out, and then I started getting through, starting my own journey, and then people started finding out who my father was, and I started connecting the dots. I'm like, oh man, that's crazy.
What did your father do, or what did he?
So he played football too growing up. Okay. Same area, but he grew up in West Covina, La Puente area. Got it. And then went to Nogales High School, and then ended up getting a scholarship out of there. Went to University of Colorado. Okay. And then he had his opportunity too in the NFL. That's awesome. And then played. There was this league called Arena Football. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but that was kind of big in the 90s. And so, yeah, he's kind of used that. And now he's a teacher out in Ohio. So shout out to Pops. We have a good relationship now. But
that's good. Yeah, that's good. So, but growing up, it was...
Yeah, growing up, it was nothing bad. It was just physical presence just wasn't there. But, he was there in the sense of, being there for parent-teacher conferences over the phone and stuff like that. If I ever needed to call someone to talk to, that was kind of like my little scapegoat. But
that's so interesting. So he wasn't physically there, but the relationship was open.
Yeah, it was open. He was just doing his own thing. He was just doing his own thing, and then he ended up still doing football. He was running his businesses sometimes, and then he ended up started another family with his wife now and my little sister. So he was just doing his thing. There was a time where I was kind of being a little petty, but I was a kid and
easy too. You're just like, hey, fuck, what the hell? He ain't around here, man. What's fuck?
Exactly. Supposed to? And he's the type of guy too, bro. Like where you can't hate the guy at all.
Oh, really?
He's just friends with everybody. The super nice guy. Oh. And yeah, I remember one time I had sat him down. I'm like, look, motherfucker, I'm mad at you. And then even that didn't even feel right saying to him. I don't even know how to get that across to your head. But, we've had our conversations, deep conversations, and letting him know, there was things that I wanted you there for. I needed someone to show me how to fucking shave and show me how to be a man and do those things. But on the flip side, I had my stepfather. And
I was about to ask, like, who was like that male role model?
Yeah, so I had my stepfather. Shout out to my stepdad, also my father. And I always tell people I have two dads. And but as far as father figure and the guy that showed me everything, my stepdad Mac. His full name is Malaki. So he's the one that stepped into our family, man, and took over all these kids that weren't his. And it takes a real man to be able to do that shit. So,
dude, that's fucking tough, bro.
And me and my oldest brother, we were being petty ass little boys too. When he came into our house, we were over there trying to give him a hard time, but he stuck with us, man, and really showed us how to be a man. So.
No, yeah, bro. I had like too many step parents.
Right.
I was over the whole, hey, this is a new person. Like,
right.
Fuck you and fuck wherever you came from.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. So
yeah, man. When it comes to like education and business and everything, when did that kind of start for you? Because I know you're in finance. Could you explain a little bit of what you do?
Yeah, so we handle everything related to money. So cool. I know that's a broad, like kind of a vague explanation, but it's exactly that. Anything that you can think of as far as going through money, we handle that. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm an expert at every single alley of it, but I do know people that say that you sat down with me and you needed XYZ and I didn't know that at the top of my head. I'm never going to bullshit anybody and be like, hey, I know exactly where to sit you down with.
Got it.
So that's the main business part of what we do. And right now we have about 40 people that work within our firm. So, and right now we're in the middle of building and expanding. Zoom is like the best thing that's ever happened to us, bro.
Meaning
like now we're not just local in LA.
Okay.
Now because we're Zoom and Zoom is normalized as far as like, well, why do I have to come to your office? Can we just do it over Zoom?
Yeah.
Like,
so you're expanding.
Now it's expanded in all 50 states, bro.
Shit.
Boom. And it's so funny now because it's actually made it almost too easy where it's just like, oh my God, I'm working from home. People don't even see the bottom half of me. I'm like still in my shorts and I have a collar shirt on and doing finances. But if any of my clients see this, I'm just joking. No, I'm just kidding. But, it's just normalized now. So, but as far as, business and kind of getting into self-development, self-development kind of came first just because I made a realization to myself that I needed to get my shit together. And then business kind of followed right after that. And I think it was the perfect opportunity and perfect timing for me, and needed an opportunity like that for me to kind of like spark a flame under me and made me feel like I could fight for something again, because that's what I thought. And that's what I gave the power to football to make me believe that that was the only way to go and provide for my family and be able to feel like I'm somebody when, realize that that's all within me first before anything else. So.
Yeah. And it's also, I think, a competitive nature.
Right.
I think a big part of even my upbringing was sports.
Right.
And like the pushing yourself past your own limits was super like important to be instilled in me. But then the competitiveness of like, hey, like that guy may seem better than you right now, but if you put the work in and you can really just like, hey, I'm going to stay focused and believe and put the work in, I can surpass that person. Right. And that translates into a lot of business.
And there's this saying, it's like, man, business is my new sport.
Yeah.
So it's like understanding having that edge and knowing that you could push yourself physically past those limits. Like, how can we not do this in business? Physically feeling that pain and talking to that voice in our head to be able to push through. Like, I can't call somebody or talk to somebody for 40 minutes and be able to have a conversation. Of course I can do that. And when you put it in that perspective, you're just like, what the fuck am I doing, dude?
Let's go.
Let's do it. Every single day you get up, it's like, I don't have to hit nobody no more. I don't have to go and try to squat 1,000 pounds. I don't have to go and try to kill my body, but yet I still use that as my foundation. I work out every single day and use that as an opportunity to kind of get my mind right. But I don't have to do these crazy workouts anymore to try to go and compete against physically moving people. But it's just being able to have that structure and discipline to be able to try and get to that level within business too. So,
have you had any mentors in business?
Yes, plenty of mentors.
Okay.
And now that I'm here now, I can look back and realize the mentors that I wasn't even aware of having growing up.
Oh, really?
There's just people that were good people and guiding me, whether that be my uncles or whether that be, coaches that I've had. I can pinpoint people that have guided me to where I'm at now, not even being aware of it at that time when I was a kid, or being, naive when I was just doing my thing. But, if I were to just throw a few out there, man, obviously my father. My stepfather was a big time mentor for myself. My mom, my grandfather, Coach Harding. He's my college coach. My high school coaches, Bogan and Albert Rodriguez. We call him Fuzz. And then getting out of college, or getting out of football in general, now my brother-in-law, Jay Gautier. And man, the list goes on. But
so these people just kind of like were there.
Yeah, these people were
awesome.
there as far as wanting the best interest in me, and wanted to push me to limits that I wasn't, pushing myself at that time by myself. But these people have shown me what it's like to dream big, to be able to push further than what I'm used to seeing in my life. Yeah. And it all started obviously with my mom raising me and just seeing and hearing different stories, but I just wasn't aware of that yet. Yeah. And then, when I started hearing about these things, probably the first awareness of it was probably through high school and sports, when my coaches told me that, hey man, you can get a D1 scholarship. And I'm like, what the hell are you talking about, dude? I'm just trying to play because everybody told me I'm big. I never really put on a helmet until I got into high school. My mom took me out of football when I was a kid because I was skipping. And she's like, you're skipping on the field. You're not playing football anymore. Whoa. So I didn't even touch football from 8 years old all the way till high school. And then I put on a helmet. Shit. And my coaches were looking at me, you passed the eye test. But I really didn't become a football player until college. And I got my ass whooped. What I mean whooped, but it's just laid out by some guys in college. I'm like, man, do I really want to do this shit for the rest of my life? And then that's when, all these mentors started coming into my life.
Did you ever seek out mentors for a specific challenge or specific time of your life?
Good question. Very good question, because I don't think I started doing that honestly until maybe about 4 years ago. Okay. Yeah. And it had to do with business. Yeah, because my mentors before that, was really attached to sports and football. Yeah. So when that was over, I kind of wanted to not have nothing to do with sports at all. Just being me. I'm like, nah, I don't want to have no connection with sports anymore. So, but as far as seeking out, leadership and guidance from other people is probably when I got into the business. And now my brother-in-law, but before that, I would ask him all the time, like, hey, what do I got to do to kind of get to your level? And it's funny because I feel like there's a difference between being mentored and being coached.
Oh, okay. Explain that.
Yeah. Like being coached is someone that's going to, tell you like, hey, you got to do X, Y, Z. Okay. Whereas a mentor, they're going to tell me the things that I'm not ready to hear, that they'll tell me straight up and be like, hey, if this is where you want to be, well, let me see what you're doing. Let me see your calendar and see what you're doing. It's like a mentorship is accountability, like harsh accountability. Got it. Whereas coaches, there's accountability there, but coaches will help you through the process. Yeah. Whereas mentorship is like, hey, let me see what you're doing. All right. Let me tell you what you want to hear. Let me tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. And I feel like that's one of the biggest differences between coaching and mentorship. Because coaching, you could kind of get mixed up with motivation. Like, oh, you could do this. Right. You could do that. Whereas mentorship is like, Siasoi, stop the bullshit, bro. Let me tell you what, you know what I mean? Cut straight to the point. Stop talking. You're talking too much. Let me see where you're at. Got it. What are you doing for the month? Yeah. Where have you? Why haven't you hit this yet? Like, what's taking you so long? Those are the type of conversations that I have with mentors. And coaching is more, let's get you through the journey instead of, it's more motivation, I would say. Yeah. And well, you're a coach as well, right? You're coaching at ELAC. Yes. Yeah. So tell me about that relationship. Now you're the higher up, you're the mentorish now, right? So how does that relationship go? So I feel like coaching is for me, just being around football. First off, is one of the things that fulfills me, because it just brings me back to everything that I've grown from.
Yeah.
And all of the things that has extended from football.
Got it.
And I feel like even from this, I can
Yeah.
trail it all the way back, and it's just like, boom, this pinpoint from when this opportunity that happened, and kind of just watch that journey kind of lead us to here.
Yeah.
But now being in a place where people are looking up to me, it's kind of, at first it was intimidating because, now you're the example.
Right. Yeah.
And now you got to watch the way you do the things that you do, because at the end of it all, if you really want to take your team and your guys to the next level, they're going to follow what you do. So, but as far as the overall, as far as mentorship, that happens off the field, I feel like.
Got it.
Coaching is, I have no favoritism. I treat everybody the same, because we have one common goal, which is to win a game.
Yeah.
And I need everybody to get better, and I need all of us to understand and buy into getting the team there at any cost.
Yeah.
Whereas now I glue all of that together when I'm off the field with maybe some guys that are kind of upset because they feel like they should be at this place, or they feel like they should, have more reps, or they feel like they should have this. And now that's where my mentorship comes into play, and be like, hey, let's sit down and watch the film together.
Yeah.
Now you tell me, if you were in my position, is this somebody that,
oh,
and then they'd be like, oh, okay, coach. But let's
brutally honest.
Yeah, brutally honest. And now
Damn.
they get to see it for themselves, because it's a different angle of not just me being on the field maybe an hour before saying, get your ass over here, hurry up. Next, get out, give me somebody new. And now, I could feel the energy of them just being like, some of them are just being petty, like, oh, coach doesn't like me. Now, off the field, I get to mentor them and being able to show them, like, hey, now I want you to show me what you're doing wrong.
Oh.
And now they're telling me, oh, okay, coach. Okay, but let me tell you, do I have time to sit there and be able to, pat you on the back and tell you why? No, we got a common goal that we got to go and get. So during this XYZ amount of time, like, no, you're not going to get that from me.
Yeah.
But outside the field, then yes, we'll sit down and we'll talk. Because if you think that I don't care for you, then you got this whole thing fucked up.
Yeah.
But we do have a job to do.
Yeah.
And that has to be clear.
Dude, that's such a big responsibility.
Right.
That is such a big responsibility, because you have to manage your own emotions.
Right.
You have to manage everybody else's perspective while trying to achieve one single goal, which is just win a game.
Right.
Damn.
And I'm in their position too, like in business. Now I'm the player, and I'm the one.
Explain that again.
Like me being the mentor and somebody that's looking up to them. I'm just saying that everybody has that in their life as far as being the player.
Yeah.
So in business, for example, my coach, if I think about my brother-in-law, Jay Gauthier, now I'm looking up to him as if my players are looking up to me. And I'm just like, man, so everybody has that in their life. They're
coaching and then being the coach.
And then being the coach.
Yeah.
So it's just understanding and having that humble mindset of being able to understand that nobody's truly there yet. There's always that next level. Yeah. There's always that next best version of yourself that you can get to. And the moment you feel like you arrived is the moment you start declining, as far as that awareness of knowing that you can get better.
God, that's I think some of the hardest things, because we all want to feel like, hey,
right,
fucking made it.
Yeah.
Fucking
I've been there, bro. I am a testament to that, bro.
I'm sure with the NFL, right? I fucking made it. I can finally just whew,
Bro, the day I found out I was going to Kansas, right? And I wasn't even anybody. I didn't get my name called. This whole emotional ride through the last day of the draft. I had coaches call me. I don't even think my family knows this, because I kept it so discreet, because I wasn't a big profile player. So I had the Eagles call me, and I'm registering my son for summer school for his pre-K class or whatever. Eagles call me. They're like, hey, we're thinking about, drafting you in the 5th or 6th round. I'm like, okay, cool. So the number one thing that they told me was, like, don't believe anybody. So, of course, I didn't believe that. And so then the next call comes from another coach. It's like they're playing mind games, right? So then Vikings called me, but like, hey, has anybody reached out to you? I said, yeah, the Eagles just called me. He's like, oh, really? and hangs up the phone. And then my agent calls me. He's like, hey, if anybody asks you if the Eagles talk to you, say no. I'm like, bro, it's fucking too late. They already called. You know what I mean? So now I'm understanding, okay, like must be this mind game that's going on that I'm not trying to be a part of because I don't want to get my hopes up. So then towards the end of the day, it's the last couple of rounds. And then I get a call from a guy that recruited me through high school. And he was at USC. His name was goodDEMAND. And
you played at USC?
No. I was getting recruited from that guy from SC.
Oh, got you.
So his name was goodDEMAND. So we had this relationship already. And he was at the Broncos. And he's like, hey, man, we're looking to take you in the 6th or 7th round. I was like, all right, coach. And he's like, no, I'm serious. I'm like, I know, coach, but I'm just trying to keep my head right. You know, I'm not going to get excited or anything. And then, the 6th round comes. I'm sitting at Buffalo Wild Wings with my family, just out to eat. Nobody, everybody knows what's going on, but they just don't want to like look at me and ask me if anything's going.
Because it's just
because it's too much. So we're all enjoying our, B-dubs. And, the 6th round goes. So I'm eating and I'm looking up. I'm like, all right, so the 6th round's over with. I'm like, all right, so it's not the 6th round, it's the 7th round. So then he calls me again. He was like, all right, Siasoi, all we need is the okay from John Elway. John Elway is the owner of the Broncos. He's like, all we need is the okay. We're going to draft you.
Shit.
I'm like, all right, cool. So I'm over there eating, and then it's getting down to the Broncos. And then next thing you know, they go up. Broncos on the clock. I'm like, dang, okay, here it comes. I'm waiting for it. Don't want to do anything because I don't want to, prematurely celebrate,
Yeah.
Because I've seen so many of people that I know personally. I'm not gonna call anybody out, but that have done that.
Pre-celebrate.
Yeah. Bro, I'm talking about throwing a full-on like draft party, all that stuff,
and didn't get drafted. That is the fucking worst feeling ever.
So all of those things were ringing in my head. I'm like, all right, just stay calm, eat your fucking fries, your chicken wings, and see what happens.
Yeah.
And then, boom, they draft a fucking kicker, bro.
What?
They draft a kicker.
The Broncos. After all that, they drafted kicker.
After all that, they draft a kicker. I get a call, and he was like, hey, Siasoi, we're going to take you as a free agent, which is the next step. He's like, we're going to take you as a preferred free agent. I was like, okay, all right, cool.
Yeah.
Then my agent calls me. The good thing about not getting drafted is now you get to choose where you want to go if they have interest. So let's just say I have 5 teams that want me. Now I have the opportunity to be like, all right, who fits my scheme of my type of play, things like that.
Yeah.
So I had the opportunity, and then wrapping this all the way back around, long story short, wrapping it back around, or long story longer, wrapping it back around to what I was talking about, I find out that I'm going to the Chiefs.
Shit.
And then, all right, cool. And then, boom, that night, bro, I go and I get freaking trashed with everybody, like celebrating, talking about like, yes, we're going, talking about I made it. And all my friends are feeding into it, and they're just like, man, you're doing it, bro. You made it. I'm like, fuck, I haven't made it, but fuck it. Like, let's go, And that was my night before leaving. I left maybe like 4 days later to go, and then went on my journey, and then ended up coming back. But yeah, man, it was one of those things that I laugh at now, where it's just like, man, life teaches you like some deep lessons. But that right there is something that I'm not afraid to talk about, because it's, a lot of people can experience those things but not really talk about it. And I love having transparency of being able to have confidence and knowing like, hey, don't celebrate too fast, man. I've been there before, and I know that it's also important to celebrate your wins. Yeah. And that was a win, but it wasn't a win to celebrate like the way I celebrate.
Like you won a Super Bowl win.
It was a win to fucking get a high five and let's go to work, But if I won the Super Bowl like how Tom Brady did, now I'm getting fucked up and throwing trophies across the boats while I'm going down, because he fucking deserved that shit, So, but yeah, just understanding and having transparency of that.
I love that.
Just being able to tell my story that way. But
yeah. Have you ever read the book Relentless?
No, I haven't actually.
Have you heard of it?
Yes.
Oh, bro, it's so good.
Everybody, actually, my coach, shout out to Jay. He's actually been telling me to read that. I'm actually right now reading Winning by Tim Grover.
Oh, yeah. So the same author. Honestly, bro, Relentless is just so much better. Sorry,
because he talks about the book in Winning. He refers back to Relentless a lot.
Damn, bro. Honestly, both those books are really good. I just really like Relentless because like the way he I don't know, the way he describes like winners it's like a different beast, right? So like when you were talking about like coaching,
Right.
That he talks a lot about a cleaner, which is like the ultimate type of athlete or just person, right? And he says they don't like judge people for what they can or can't do. They put people in situations where they could succeed. So when you're talking about like you being a coach and being a person that needs to like has one objective and just needs to put people in the right position to achieve that goal, like that was ringing in my head, and I was like, you're a fucking athlete.
I resonate with that because that was something that I took into coaching, because I took over. Somebody ended up getting released, and then I had taken over the position group that I've taken, and the head coach was like, hey, I want you to watch these guys, and I said I don't want to watch them. I don't want to make a prejudgment off of what's happened in the past. Then for me to go into a new year being like, okay, now I think this is supposed to be the starter. I want a fresh start of seeing
that's
these
actually
guys.
extremely smart. That's a smart perspective.
So now it's like I don't give a fuck about what they did last year. It means nothing, and it's irrelevant to me.
And it shouldn't.
Yeah.
Fuck.
So now it's like a fresh standard. Now it allows me to see these guys for who they really are, and get a fresh, start as far as, understanding who really wants to commit to that level of getting better. Because if I make that prejudgment off of film, that might just be pure God-given talent. Doesn't mean that they're committed to the overall cause of what it is to be a winner, as far as a championship team. You could be that guy that can go and, knock somebody off their feet. But if you're not bought into what it's like to be, having your guys back, or, buying into a bigger cause than just you being better than everybody else, then I really don't need you on our squad. So.
Yeah. I like that because winning actually talks about that in the book, right?
That's why when I started listening to it, I was like, that's that shit I'm talking about.
Yeah, because I like the part when he says, like, winning doesn't owe you anything. Like, It doesn't care what you did yesterday. It doesn't care what you accomplished before. All it cares about that is you pay the dues. And even then, it may still, like, cheat on you. And I was like, fuck,
that
bro.
Unforgiving race, bro, because you and I, just saying that, and I'm pretty sure the listeners will resonate with that, because just if they rewind that and listen to that part, they could probably play a bunch of times in their life where they felt like everything was lining up, and then boom, you get fucked over, or at least you felt like you did. Yeah. So, but yeah, man, I love it.
So this is a great transition into just like religion, because I feel as if one of my biggest, I don't want to say coping, but one of my biggest way to like accept life a little bit better, especially when like, you do the right things and you like, hey man, I pushed myself and I fucking still failed. It's like, yo, what the fuck? That's when I fall back into my own faith, and it's like, hey, like you're on a bigger purpose, and sometimes these dead ends are just to like direct you back on the path you're meant to be on.
Right.
You know what I mean? And to reframe, not because technically it's not even a failure, right? Like sometimes you legitimately put in your best work and you still don't get hired. You still don't make that team. You still get rejected in some type of way. And you have to, you have to be like, hey, like, damn, it could fuck with you in your head. You could be like, am I not good enough? Or am I doing things wrong? Am I a bad person? And I kind of fall into my own like, hey man, God's guiding me. I just need to be willing to accept that, be mature that this is life. And then also keep that positive mindset of something's better, that is coming. How about your faith?
For me, and whatever you want to call it, whether it's God, universe, higher power. But for me, just recently, I kind of grew into this mentality where I came to terms that if I keep God the end goal, meaning that if I keep that as far as me becoming the best version that he's created me to become, if I keep that as my true intention, as the end goal in anything I do in life, even my fuck ups will get me closer to these things that I'm talking about. So if I say, all right, I'm gonna do this, and somebody's like, I don't know if you should do that, COC, but I'm like, I really feel like I have this overwhelming call to do this. And even if it doesn't get me there, because of that, I will be shown. And every single time I could think back of a time where I had the full intentions of being able to be a better person, or better in a way of serving somebody else in the light of God, then even the things that might be quote unquote bad has shown me a lesson of how I can get better in that eyes. So if I keep that as my end goal, I can't go wrong because my heart is in the right place.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Damn.
Now, I'm not going to say like, okay, COC, it's okay to go get fucked up. Like, and be like, no, it's not that. But if you can wholeheartedly look at yourself and be like, hey, I put my heart in this.
Yeah.
And I know that God knows that I put my heart in this.
Yeah.
The outcome will always get you closer to that person that he wants you to become.
Damn, that's pretty fucking powerful,
Yeah.
man. What are your religious practices or spiritual beliefs or whatever you like to call them?
Yeah, so I grew up, and this is probably going to take you for a spin real quick. So I grew up Mormon.
Cool. And
then, growing up Mormon was a little different in the sense of, and there's nothing wrong with being Mormon. It was just the way I was brought up in that church was you had to be a certain way. There was a certain mold that you had to fit. And this might not be for everybody because my family still practices. And my family, my sisters and them, they're super, genuine people, and they love and practice, their religion to the fullest. And I love them with all my heart. Just for me and my experience, I felt like I had to be a certain person. Yeah. That I wasn't true and look at myself and be like, okay, COC, this is who you are. Yeah. And then that's, kind of where I kind of stemmed off. And then I ended up getting baptized into a Christian church.
Nice.
Yeah. And even then coming to this realization of, keeping God the end goal. And even that above all now is my ultimate like faith of knowing that no matter where I'm at, where I go, my church, my religion is within myself because of that end goal is always being that. So yes, I practice and I go to Christian church every Sunday. We sing, we praise. Those are just the bonuses on top of what I believe now as far as the end goal is always him. And if I keep that the same and keep that wholeheartedly in anything I do, whether it's business, fitness, going and trying to serve, if I keep that my end goal, then, I'll always get closer to that person he wants me to become. Because eventually when I die, I want him to look at me and be like, this is who you're supposed to become. And be like, damn, I'm him. I'm that person.
And so when you say you keep him as like the end goal, are you saying like, you're dealing with like a challenge or something? You're like, I'm going to do what's best in God, or I'm going to do the best that like I feel the best version of myself would do in this moment that God would want me to do.
Yeah, that God would want me to do.
Okay. That's
so if I look at it in everything, and my relationship with God is like how we're talking right now. Okay. Even going back to having this certain mold that I had to fix or had to be, even praying. I felt like I had to pray a certain way. Right. Whereas now I talk to God like how I'm talking to you. Okay. It's like it's an ongoing conversation throughout my whole day.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Oh shit, how does that work? Like,
so like, let's just say I'm driving to school. Yeah. And I'm just waking up and I'm like, damn, this is a fucking beautiful ass day. I appreciate you, God, for giving me this day. I appreciate you. And then it just goes on to a conversation. I'm like, man, you blessed me with my son. Yeah. You've blessed me with good people. And I don't know who you're going to put into my life. But today, whoever you put into my life, man, I wish that I'm the best version of myself that you've created me to be, so I can go and shine in your way to them. And maybe I'm that instrument of God that they need to know or need to see, that to know that you're real. Yeah. And be authentically myself, though. Okay. Not have to be a certain mode of like, oh, he must be X, Y, Z, so because he acts that way. But no, that's COC. And because COC's acting the way COC is, I know that God's real.
That's beautiful, man. Yeah, I kind of do something like that where it's like it's more of like a daily like quiet, not meditation, but like sometimes I would also be driving. And then I guess the way I kind of connect is just kind of like just relax and kind of like let things kind of play out. Right. And I'm like, oh, maybe I want to like go a little bit faster, but then things are blocking me. I'm like, okay, God, you don't want me to go there? Okay, right. I'm gonna pull back. Am I rushing too much? I'm probably rushing too much. Like, let me relax, like, and I do that with everything, like someone frustrates me, and then it's like, okay, you want me to just like, okay, I got it. I hear you. I hear it. Is it kind of like that?
Yeah, it's just like that. Okay, even when someone cuts me off. Okay. I used to have really bad road rage. What the fuck, bro? Like, fuck that person. Crash. Like now I'm like, ooh, I don't even want to say those things out loud.
Damn, yeah,
You know?
yeah.
Whereas like now when people cut me off, I'm like, all right, man, hey, whatever you're going through, I hope you get through it.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
you must need to get there now. You know what I mean? So, and I keep that perspective. I'm just like, okay, cool. I keep going.
Yeah.
You know, and it's knowing like, man, you don't have to, I don't have to try to make decisions for myself. Whereas if I just have that's like conversation, I know that God's going to guide me.
Yeah, that's the one that I've been having, not trouble with, but the one that I've been like practicing more of is like a big part of, I think, just self-development in general. And then having like a strong mental mindset is like, you know, like the Jim Rohn, if it's meant to be, it's up to me. Right. Which is like, hey, like if I want something to happen, I go and I make that happen. I don't just sit around and wait. Right. And then for me, that was kind of like my mentality that got me out of like the first couple stages of my life, and then having to like balance that with like, hey, I'm gonna go as hard as I can to get what I want, but I'm also gonna be receptive to, you know, God's plan as well.
Of course.
That's like an interesting balance, man. Do you have that balance? What do you think about that?
Yeah. So anytime I try to make a decision, you know, with my own wisdom, like meaning that like this is me. I might, and most times I probably will get what I'm talking about that I want to get, but it's not the same when I go and chop it up with God first, you know, and be like, all right, I'm hearing you out. I know I can get this, but is this what you want me to get though? Yeah. You know, because I know that I can go and get it, because there's people out there that be like, Siasoi, you're tripping, bro. I know that I can go out there, and trust me, I've done it myself, where I know that if I say I'm going to get this, I'm going to go and get it. Yeah. But it's that's through my own wisdom. It's maybe it's not what God wanted me to do. Now that I look back and see that all those things that I might have held on to, it was just for my own satisfaction. It wasn't for, and I really think deep down inside of it, it's like, man, it was for my own selfish needs. Yeah. It didn't benefit anybody. It didn't go and put anybody else higher. It didn't elevate anyone. I didn't bring anybody with me. I went and did it. I might have put this mask on to make me feel like I did, but at the end of the day, I got to go to sleep with those thoughts in my head. Yeah. And I'd rather have the time to sleep without those thoughts in my head, knowing that, hey, I could look up at the ceiling and be like, yep, and smiling right back down on me. Whether it's getting a bunch of money, or whether it's not getting money, whether it's serving, whether it's, you know, helping somebody on the corner, whatever it is. Yeah. If I know that I'm putting that as my end goal, is becoming the best version of myself, I might live the rest of my life, you know, making the same amount of money that I make now. Yeah. Am I okay with that? I am okay with that. Yeah. As long as that's the end goal. Right. You know, or maybe he blesses me and says, hey, Siasoi, you're ready to get to this level, and I want you to go there because I know that your heart's going to do what you need to do to go and show me that I'm real. Damn. Then cool. Then fucking bring powerful, it. Bro. Then bring all the fucking money. Let's go show everybody that you're fucking real, you know. Damn. But if I'm also okay with the opposite. But I don't think a lot of people could say that. Yeah. You know. But then there's some people that may be like, oh, but you say that now. Mm-hmm. But I have to, because I can't look at myself in the mirror. And this is just me. Mm-hmm. You know, I got to wake up, wash my face and brush my teeth and look at the guy in the mirror. And if I can't do that, and let alone have my son look up at me, then what the fuck am I doing, dude?
Yeah, you know? Yeah. Is there's more
There's way more to it.
Yeah, 100%.
So
what, this is thank you for being super honest. Yeah. Man. That's crazy, man. That's really great. When was the hardest time of your life?
Whew, that's a really good question. Hardest time of my life, I would say. So I was married before.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I was married for 8 years.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Wow.
Got married at 18.
Wow.
And we're throwing it out there now. So I just got back from getting cut. And then, you know, my son's mom, this is where it kind of hit me to be like, what the fuck am I going to do with my life? Because I thought this was going to give me everything. Yeah, yeah. And now where I'm at in life now, I look back and be like, of course not. But that hardest part, right? That little moment right there has really, if I look back and be like, Siasoi, what's the defining moment that made you realize that you needed to get to another level, that you needed to close maybe one door to open up another? It was this moment where I had everybody thinking that I was going to make it to the NFL. Yeah. Came back, and then, you know, my wife at the time goes, well, what are we supposed to do now? And this is when I walked into the door, bro.
No.
Just walked into the door. I flew home, walked into the door,
Jab.
and I'm still fresh off of like, damn, what the hell am I gonna do? I haven't talked about it, and then, she hit me with the, well, what are we supposed to do now? I'm like, what the fuck? That thing crushed me, bro. Yeah. And everybody that's probably watched this, if any of my family watched, what the fuck that? It crushed me because of where I was at in life and what I was perceiving that was gonna happen. I showed my family at that time a vision of what was gonna happen. And like I said, I believe that God, I know that God does things for a reason. So, football is the best thing that's ever happened to me. But that little moment right there was the thing that crushed me to make me, it brought me down to the foundation. Mm-hmm. And then now where I'm at now, it's like that right there is what brought it right back down to where I could build now one brick at a time. Whereas before that, it was built off of a sandy foundation. Yeah. And all this shit that was washing up on the sand and leaving every single day. Wash up. Oh, Siasoi, you're going to make it to the NFL. Wash away. Just fucking bullshit. Like, Siasoi, you're going to do this. And it wasn't built on a solid foundation. You know? It was just built on bullshit. So. Yeah.
And I bet it hurts just because, like, you're already beating yourself up. One, and then you have to go back to your family. Right. And then you're hoping probably or expecting like some love and some compassion. And then you get like another boot in the gut.
Yeah. It was tough at that time. So.
And how old were you at that time?
At that time, I believe I was 22.
Oh, yeah. Fuck.
So,
man, that's tough.
Yeah. So, but it's funny how things in life, kind of just mold you into somebody. Yeah. Because now, I'm with the love of my life, Melody. I know you know her too. Yeah. She trained her, and that's somebody that I've been with for the first time in my life, where it's like, I don't have to be dependent on somebody. It's actually, it's like, dude, what are you doing today? This is what I'm doing. Like, get your ass up and go do some shit. Like,
I love that.
Get your ass up. I'm like, all right, this is the first person I've ever been with that's just like, dude, you need to get your ass up now and go. I'm like, go grind. I don't know what you're doing today, but So with that though, I feel like that's the reason why we work so good. I can go for a whole day and not see each other, and we know when we come back, it's like, damn, we got this done today, this done today, this done today, this done today. And then boom, it makes our time together that much more genuine. Yeah. When people say quality time, sometimes they get that mixed up with the length of time that you spend with each other, where I think it's total bullshit. Yeah. We might spend the least amount of time of everybody that we know that are couples around us. But the time that we spend together is solid quality. Dude. Solid, genuine time.
I love that. That must be fucking super cool to have. Actually, on this podcast, it's been nice interviewing guys who have like a pair or a couple who's like, they're like right there with them, either being like super supportive or just like, I love self-developed relationships where like the person is like conscious and they're willing to work and communicate. You know what I mean? Like,
of course.
Yeah, bro. Like, how does that feel like having her there?
Yeah, I love it because it's never ending. Yeah. So every day we have this thing that we say to each other. I don't know if you saw it in the office, but it says 1% better every single day. It's beautiful. And it's something that we live. Like, she just got knee surgery. Oh, wow. And today we were going nuts because she's able to walk without her crutches today. Oh, fuck yeah. And she's beating her time. And, me, because I care for her health, I don't want her to like, this is her third time doing it. So she had 2 times before we were together. And then, me, of course, brings the third time. We were playing volleyball together. And, her being the competitive person that she is. So she tears it, and her meniscus, her ACL was okay. But, she's beating her recovery time. And I'm over here trying to tell her to slow down. And, she's over there talking about, good thing that we're away from each other all the time. Because I'll be like, hey, relax. But she went to her physical therapy today, and she freaking threw the crutches out. She was able to walk. And, I'm like, oh, heck no. Because I just know her. She's going to be like, I'm good. We can go. I'm like, dude, but I don't ever want to shrink that type of mentality from her. So I'm always like, hey, that's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Maybe we should ice though. That's awesome though.
That's good.
Yeah,
I
you know.
like that.
So I don't ever want to shrink that mentality because that's just what makes her her, and that's why I love her, because she's always trying to get to that next level, and that's what makes me want to. It kind of like pulls me. Like, dude, she's over here with a torn meniscus. She's over here walking, going through physical therapy, and grinding at work. What's your excuse?
Yeah, man.
You know, and I'm like, because maybe, you know, you're tired.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, fuck off, bro. You know, like, so
Let's talk a little bit of like I love talking about relationships just because, like, you know, we all grow so much through them. I know I grew so much through my past relationships, man. Like,
right.
I used to be super jealous. I used to lack like emotional control.
Right.
Like, what have you grown in, you know, that
of course.
relationship?
Yeah. So and I'm so glad that we have this space to be able to speak like this, because I feel like even within my culture, we're taught to kind of just hold these things in.
Wow, really?
Yeah, like it's not
manly
enough, you know. But I love these type of topics because it makes me who I am, and I feel like these are spaces where more people more men specifically within our community need to have space, not just in my community, but in all communities. I feel like it's just a lack of being able to have that space. But going back to your question, I was that person, you know, that jealous person. I was the person that, you know, tried to look through people's phones and
shit,
bro,
no way.
I was that guy. Yeah. So
damn.
And now that I look back at it, it's all because of insecurities within myself at that time and why I was acting like that. So if I look back at, you know, my relationships that I've had even before I was married and why I acted that way, it was all of insecurities within myself and things that I was doing on my own time that were projecting on the people that I was with at that time. So
how did you overcome that? Was it through a relationship?
Yeah, it was being on my own for a while and understanding and growing, you know, from just my past relationships especially with my son's mom too. Yeah. You know, that's helped me a lot. And then, you know, with my relationship now, I've never been with a girl that's, you know, as confident as Mel. That's just like, yeah, do you? You know, I'm like, wait, what? Yeah, just do you. You know, I don't know if you've seen that TikTok where there's just like, hey, I'm going out. Like, yeah, okay, cool. You know, guys versus girls.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like,
what you mean?
Yeah, what you
I'm
mean?
gonna stay.
Yeah, exactly. Who are you going with? I don't know. And, you know, are you guys going to eat? I hope so. Like, that's just her. It's like, go ahead, do your thing. I'm like, wait, what? You're not going to ask where I'm going? Like, that was in the beginning of our relationship. Then I realized, I was like, dude, I feel like I'm always like dating a guy.
My ex was kind of like that too, where I was like, yo, I'm going to go do this. Okay.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, okay, cool. I'm going to hang out with this girl. Okay. Should I be worried? No. Okay.
Right.
What the fuck?
Exactly.
So then, like, you kind of adopt those things,
right?
So you kind of like integrate. You know what's funny actually too? Like the people who you hang around with, like, you pick and choose little things that you like about it, right? And you kind of start either saying the same slang or like whatever, right? So yeah, with my ex, I would like also pick up those little things like, should I be worried? You know what I mean? And then they're like, no. Like, all right, cool, then I'm good. You know, that's so funny.
But yeah, it was just insecurities is the easiest way I could say it.
Yeah.
And then acknowledging it and embracing it and knowing like, all right, that's me, nobody else. And then owning it is what got me here. So
yeah. What was the best time of your life?
Best time of my life is right now.
Yeah,
right now.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Best time of my life. You're present.
Yeah.
I'm here. I embrace it. I don't take it for granted.
That's beautiful.
You know, it's quality time. Because I've gone through so much death in the last year and a half.
Oh, wow,
so much death, bro.
Damn.
And yeah, I appreciate it because that's what people tend to do is just their first reaction is like, man, I'm sorry about that. But if I really believe in God and know that that's where I want to be, like that's what completes the cycle. I feel like for me, you know, like there is no getting there if we don't complete the cycle of death. So knowing that, I feel like there's so much beauty that comes from it. So grieving for those people is our selfish needs of wanting them to be here because of our own selfish reasons.
Right.
And I don't mean selfish as like, oh, you're being like an asshole, like selfish reasons of like, man, we care for them, but it's still for myself why I want them here.
Yeah.
Whereas, I lost my grandfather. He's my father figure.
Wow.
I lost, man, I'm not even going to go through it, but like now being like how I said, going back to what you're talking about, being the happiest where I'm at now is because of these deaths that I've had in such a small amount of time is what's allowed me to be present now.
Wow.
And like cherish every moment from this. Like if I die right now after this, it's like, dude, I lived my life to the fullest. And I feel like we get that fucked up of living life to the fullest. No, I was talking to my brother about this yesterday. And if I had my last conversation with my brother, I know that he'll be all right. He might shed a tear because he selfishly wants me here, but he'll be all right and know that I'm going to be solid because I told him, I was like, bro, because of death, like it's what makes everything come together for me. It's what allows me to be like, man, every moment that I live, it's what allows me to say now I live life to the fullest. Whereas I used to say that when I was like 20, 21, I'm living life to the fullest. I'm getting fucking trashed. Like, I'm over here saying YOLO and shit. Like, but living life to the fullest is being present now and embracing that, look, this might be my last time. But did I do what I was doing right here to the fullest? And I felt like we did today. And like, I could be okay with that. You know what I mean?
Dude, that is so beautiful.
Yeah.
Dude. Let's end it off with what you're doing now and what you're looking forward to accomplishing in the future.
Yeah. So, my number one goal is to serve and keeping
Beautiful.
God at the end. I know that might sound cliche, but for myself to get there and to kind of get 1% better every single day, things to look forward to for myself. I'm in sports now. My biggest vision within the next couple of months is to be able to give back to our community. So I was born and raised in West Covina, and I'm throwing youth camps.
Fuck yeah.
And already launched the Instagram and launched we kind of did a pre-trial about 4 years ago, and it was a big hit. It was free. We had food catered, sponsored.
Whoa,
we had football kids come out, and we had a massage therapist for the kids or for the parents to come and get massage while their kids were practicing. Yeah, it was just like out of the ordinary type of camp,
That is.
And that's what we want to like replicate. So
yeah,
I went on the grind for the last 4 years, kind of just self-developing myself and kind of getting the mindset and mentality of how I wanted to approach this. But this has always been a dream of mine, and I felt like God is putting it in our hands to be able to do now. And so we're in the works. We just relaunched it. It's called AHMPT UP.
AHMPT UP.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
So it's an acronym. It's spelled funny, but it's called AHMPT UP. So it's AHMPT. Okay. So active hands, movement, placement, timing. Ooh. And then _up, which is understanding position.
Understanding position.
Yeah,
that's
so
all like football.
In sports in general,
yeah.
You might have all the athletic ability, but if you don't understand your position, it's irrelevant. Vice versa. You might understand your position, but if you don't know, if you don't have the athletic ability to be able to fulfill that position, then, it doesn't come together. It's kind of like the yin and yang. So, but our number one goal is to be able to, whether it's one person or whether it's 1,000 person or people, whether it's one kid or 1,000 kids, it doesn't really matter to us. We just want to serve and make sure that everybody gets amped up. So
got it, man. So it's
AHMPT _up.
And that's on Instagram?
On Instagram too.
Okay, well that's such a smart idea, giving like parents some massages while the kids go.
Yeah, it was a fun way that the parents lined up, and that massage guy put a tip jar out there. I was like, hey, as long as you get free massages, just put a tip jar. And then boom, he ended up making the most money out of everybody. So.
I fucking love that, bro. That's awesome.
So
where can people find you if they want to like learn more about you or maybe have questions about anything?
Yeah, you can hit me up on IG, Siasoi Aiono. Very simple. I have a Twitter too, same thing. All my Instagrams, every social media platform is Siasoi Aiono. So
got it. All right, man. Well, thank you so much for being on, man. Super appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
All right, guys. We'll catch you on another podcast. Peace out. Boom.